G'day, it's Michael Guest here. Well, on this episode of Start Your Own Battle, we're going to look at catching snapper on soft plastics. They're a fantastic sport fish, especially on the right tackle. We're going to go right through all that, have a look at the tips and tricks of being successful at catching snapper on soft plastics. I'm going to tell you, I don't think I could have picked a better morning. What we're doing here is drifting over some shallow inshore reef, and right around Australia there's areas just like this. It's quite a calm day here this morning, so I'm using the breeze to just push me along and sneak up on the snapper. They're pretty timid creatures, so if you go roaring around in your boat and driving over the top of the areas, especially in this sort of shallow country, I'm in about 14 metres at the moment, then you can spook, especially those bigger fish. So what I've done is I've gone right around, back up into those prevailing conditions. At the moment it's a light westerly blowing offshore, and it's going to push us over the reef. So looking on the GPS here, I've gone around, I've looked at some area with some contours and some drop-offs and those reefy edges where the snapper are going to sit, and we're going to drift through. I've got down scan and conventional sounder picture there as well. And if we mark a big school of bait, or we catch a fish or we get a bite, we can always sort of flag that. And this is new country that I haven't fished before, so that's an exciting way to do it as well, doing a bit of exploring. Oh, yep. Beautiful time in the morning. There's those head shakes. I can see that rod. These high modulus rods are just so good for this sort of fishing. I could get the net, but I reckon he's well hooked. I can just give it a quick wrap like that and lift him straight up and in. Look at that. That is what we came for right there. Oh, gotta love it. It's so quiet out here this morning. There's really no one else on the water, just myself at the moment. But there's the result. If you're going to eat a snapper, that would be the size to eat. Just watch when you're handling them, quite sharp through that dorsal section, that spine down at the back there, that's really bad. And there's a couple on the pectorals as well. So that little ring grip's a good way to hold them. Check him out. Well, that's a start, but I'm looking forward to hopefully finding a slightly bigger one. Off you go, mate. Go on, mate. Back down you go. Oof. Now to the all-important outfit. So this is one of my favourite rods ever. I love this range of rods. This is the Regiment 7'6". So a lot of these sort of 6 to 10 kilo rods, this one's a 6 to 10, are around that 7 foot, but having that 7'6", it's really designed for snapper soft plastic fishing. That extra 6 inches just gives you a much longer cast again. So we've still got the sensitivity of the tip here, so I can really feel those smaller bites. But you can see quite a fast action rod that loads up from that 6 into that 10 kilo fighting section, which is what we really want when we're fighting those bigger fish. Then down to the reel. So this is a 3,500 size slammer reel, and they've just got amazing drag progression. So I've got that set at around about sort of that 3.5 kilos of drag pressure. If you've got your drag too tight and you can't pull any line off there, you're just going to bust that snapper off when it takes that big head shaking run. If it's too loose, then the fish can run across the bottom and probably do you in the kelp or across a rocky bit of a pinnacle or reef. So nice smooth drag is absolutely essential, and these reels are perfect for that. So then I've got some 20-pound braid on there, so some really nice 20-pound braid, some 20-pound fluorocarbon leader joined with what we call an FG knot. If you don't know how to tie an FG knot, you really need to learn those. They're ideal for anything where you're doing a lot of casting with braid to either mono or fluorocarbon leader. In this sense, we always want fluorocarbon. A, it's nearly invisible in water. B, it has amazing abrasion resistance. And then a loop knot, and that's to a 3/8 of an ounce jig head. So jig head's all about depth of water and sink rates. But at the moment, in 20 metres of water with not a lot of current or wind, that 3/8 of an ounce jig head will just let that soft plastic swim down through the water column really, really well, and hopefully into the zone of where the snapper are. So I'm going to go with a 7-inch jerk shad. Really important. Make sure you seal that bag back up to start with. That juice that's in there adds so much scent dispersion in the water, but we don't want it going everywhere. So line that up nice and straight. Get that hook through the centre of that. And as you start, you can see that's lined up nice and straight there. Down through the back. And then back out through there. If it looks like that when you finish, you've mucked it up. So let's just slide it up onto what we call our grub keeper. And it should end up nice and straight. And that's what we want it to look like right there. That's going to just swim down so well through the water column. Another trick you can do with your jig head is if you just line your jig head up along the side of the plastic and just put a little scratch in the side there, just a little mark, tiny little mark, and that'll show you where that needs to come out. So if it looks like that, that's no good. If it's bent up that way, that's no good. It's got to look like a bait fish swimming down through the water column. It's important to get a really big long cast in, and that's where these 7'6" rods are just ideal. The 3,500 size reels matched up really well to that big stripper guide there, so everything sort of flows out really well. As soon as I land, I've got my bail arm spun back over and we're connected and we're ready to go onto our fighting drag. So just keep up with that braid as it sinks down through the water. So I'm just slowly winding that braid on. I'll let it get down a little bit further. The snapper are sort of in that lower third at the moment, looking at the sounder, so they're in that sort of in that last 6 or 7 metres and towards the bottom, so I want to get it down there. But on the way down, we'll give it a big rip, chase that braid back up, pause, and then that'll lift it up into the water column, give it a bit of action, give it a bit of life, hopefully attract a fish, and we're letting it swim down, back down through the water column there now. And if you don't get a bite, you just wind it in and repeat the process. That's what Snapper Plastics is all about. Yep, oh. And that feels like a snapper. And it's amazing how much fun it is to go chasing these fish with this sort of tackle. Just super lightweight rods like this are just fantastic fun. And I can feel that bump, 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 which is, I reckon that's the telltale head shake of a snapper. Can you see that? I can feel it so well, and you can see that bump, bump, bump. And that's what we want to see. Early morning, it's one of those prime times, early in the morning, late in the afternoon, and those tide changes. And what I've got this morning is a high tide around about 8:30. It's about 7:30 at the moment. So it's a perfect time to be chasing a snapper on a soft plastic. So fishing solo like this, it's important not to wind too much line up. So I've got about, not quite a rod length, but the net's on the floor here. I'm going to grab the net. I'm pretty excited, as you should be when you're landing a snapper like this. We'll just slide that net under, lift that up. Okay, then what I'll do now is I'll just open my bail arm, just so there's not too much tension on that rod. One quick lift up, and I've got to tell you, that makes me one happy fisherman right there. The right way to hold a snapper is give it a bit of a ring grip on the tail and just support underneath the belly there. Look at that, early morning light, big powerful sides on them. You can see they're a real predator, big eye too, and those crunching teeth. And there's that 7-inch soft plastic. We've got the curly tails, nemesis tails, creature baits, paddle tails. There's so many different shapes to suit different applications when you're chasing snapper. But I tell you, whatever I did there certainly worked, and that scent dispersion, that makes a big difference as well. So there's the result. I'll get a quick photo of this bloke and we'll let him go. I'll get him back in the water and he can grow a bit bigger, and hopefully I'll find him another day. Off you go, buddy. Go on. There you go. He's gone.